right, welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion on mindset. We kind of went over normalcy bias, the color code of awareness. So what we're going to look at now is something referred to as the OODA loop. Now this was developed by Colonel John Boyd. He was an Air Force fighter pilot, and I believe it was roughly Korean War in that neighborhood in that time frame. But his claim was you put a pilot on his six on his tail and give him 30 seconds, and he would be on that pilot's tail. So how do we accomplish that? Well, that's how we use the OODA loop. Now, the OODA loop stands for observe, orient, decide, and act. We have to first observe something. Something has to catch our attention. So that assumes that we're in condition yellow. Once we have observed something, then we orientate to that. What does this mean to us? Is this something I need to be concerned about? Then we go to decide what is our course of action, best course of action, and then we act upon that course of action or execute it. The easiest way for me to understand it is we look at it as if we're driving down the road. We're going down the road and we observe a car in front of us. So we're not in condition white. We're not on our phone. We're paying attention. Now, some of us drive under grace, not under law, but let's make the assumption right now we're driving the speed limit or thereabouts. So we're doing 60, car in front of us is appreciably slower. Let's say we're doing 45. I mean, it's a 55 mile an hour speed limit. We've observed, we've oriented. We have observed the car, we've oriented that the car is driving slower than us. Now, what's our course of action? We can slow down or we can pass. Now, let's say that we got an appointment to go to. So our course of action is we're going to pass. That decision has been made. Now we're going to act upon that decision. Now the act is, all right, do we have a safe place to pass? We got the dashed yellow line on our side of the road. We've got a clear field of view in front of us. There's not a car in front of the car we're going to pass, and we execute the pass, go back into the right lane, go on our journey, and we drop back down, observing again. We use this same technique when we look at threats. If we're, again, coming out of the Walmart and we've parked in the backside of Beyond, we got a new car, we don't want to be banged up by somebody in a shopping buggy. And as we come out, as my daughter says, there's a kidnap van pulled in beside us. Now we discussed this with the color code of awareness, Well, now let's assume that van is a threat. What's our course of action? Or what is our courses of action, I should say. Ideally, you should always have 3 courses of action to choose from. Now, our first course of action is we don't do anything. We just keep walking into the end of the threat. Our second course of action might be that we engage the threat that we've determined is there. Our third course of action is we turn around and go right back into Walmart. Now, personally, I think the third course of action is the best. Why engage in something that you don't have to? De-escalate, leave the area. The threat doesn't have to be good. He's just got to be lucky. And even if you stop the threat, then you're looking at legal fees, civil lawsuits, you name it. Go back into Walmart. Call your buddy. Say, hey, man, somebody out here doesn't look too sporty. You give me a ride home. Wait at Walmart, let your buddy pick you up, take you home, you go back and get the car tomorrow. Again, don't go into something that you have a choice that you can stay out of. So this is how we use the OODA loop with the color code of awareness to either keep ourselves out of trouble, or if we don't have that option, we address ourselves in that, that we address the trouble. A good example of this is biblical. Y'all, I'm sure, are aware of the parable of the Good Samaritan, and I'm not going to get into all of it. But man's heading to Jerusalem. He's set upon by thieves that beat the snot out of him, rob him, leave him for dead. Two men's done passed by, one a Levite, one a priest. They saw him. One of them looked upon him. They both passed by. Well, here comes the Good Samaritan, or the Samaritan that we call the Good Samaritan. And he sees the man. And in Luke chapter 10, verse 33, it says, "But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him." He had no obligation. He had no vested interest in stopping for this guy. Samaritans were hated by the Jews. They were second-class citizens at best. But the Samaritan was ready, willing, and able. He was ready because he had his IFAC. He had his gear. He had wine and oil. He was willing because he stopped to help the man. Took money out of his own pocket. Takes him to an inn. We didn't read it here, but it tells the innkeeper. He says, "You look after him. Here's money. If I owe you more, I'll pay you the next time I come through." So he was willing and he was able. He knew how to take care of the man. We have to be ready, willing, and able. Now, what do we look for when we observe? And I really probably should have done this prior, but honestly, I forgot. I didn't write it in my notes, and if I don't write it down, I forget. But what was the Samaritan looking for? We're looking for things that are either not normal, there's something that's not normally there, or we're looking for things that normally are there or not. One of the things that there's a book came out several years ago called Left of Bang, and it talked about IEDs in the book in Iraq. And they looked at a timeline and said, time 0, you're going on a mountain patrol, you left your fob. At timestamp A, an IED goes off. What happened 30 seconds to a minute before the IED went off that should have been an indication that there was a possibility of an IED? Were you going into a marketplace that normally at that time of day was very busy, and all of a sudden nobody was there? That was something that was abnormal by the absence of something. Or was there a junk car on the side of the road that wasn't there yesterday? That would be the abnormal of something being there that normally is not there. We do somewhat the same thing. If we're coming out of Walmart, a guy's coming in and he's not dressed appropriately for the weather, or not dressed appropriately at all. Maybe it's 97 degrees, 90% humidity, and he's got a trench coat on. Well, maybe he's cold-natured. Maybe he just likes trench coats. Maybe he's got a sawed-off shotgun under the trench coat. Little target indicators that let's address. Let's look at this. This warrants a little more investigation. Not being paranoid. We ain't gonna go throw him up against the wall and pat him down. But let's just, is there a bulge? That sort of thing. Is it target glancing? Is a guy giving you way too much attention? It's unwarranted. Is he stealing glances frequently at your pocketbook or your purse? Is he staring intently at your chin? Is a punch coming? Is he fixing to steal your purse? You're going down the road, and all of a sudden you notice this car is staying behind you. It's making every turn you make. Now, are they going the same place you're going, or are they following you? You might throw in a random turn, see if they follow you again. Whatever you do, don't take them home. Go to a public place. Go to Walmart. Get it. One time, I don't mind you getting on the cell phone. Call your husband, call your spouse, call the law, call your buddy. Say, meet me at Walmart. I got somebody that's behind me. This is what we need to do. We stay in condition yellow, relaxed alert, but we're aware and we're looking for target indicators. 99 times out of 100, they're innocuous. Nothing's going on. But it only takes it one time. Normalcy bias tells us, it ain't happening. Can't happen to me. Reality says, yes, it can happen, and it might possibly be happening to you right now. Let's address it. Okay. we're going to hit something real fast because we're getting close to the end of our time. But I want you to think of 4 things when you look at defense, using lethal force to defend yourself. You know, the saying, well, I was in fear of my life. Well, you have to prove to a jury of your peers why you were in fear of your life. So we look at 3 things. Now, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. You end up in jail, don't call me, because I can't help you. I'll come visit you, but I can't help you. But 3 things, state of Alabama. There's a 4th Alabama does not require, but we're going to cover it as well. But it's means, intent, opportunity. They have to show intent to do you grievous bodily harm. That can be verbal. They've told you they're going to do it. Or it could be their actions. They pull a knife, a gun, screwdriver, claw hammer, tire iron, you name it. But they've shown intent. They have the means to do you grievous bodily harm. This can be a weapon, disparity of force. Maybe they're a lot bigger than you are. They're stronger than you are. There may be more of them. Maybe there's 3 of them. But they have the means to do you bodily harm, and they have the opportunity. Now, opportunity is kind of depends on the means. Again, if we're at Walmart, and you're coming out of Walmart, and I'm at the Murphy's, and I'm waving an 8-inch butcher knife telling you I'm going to cut you long, deep, and often, I have shown intent, verbally and through my actions. I have the means because I have a weapon. But I really don't have opportunity because it's several yards between me and you. And you could just get in your car and leave before I could get to you. Now, if I have a 308, I have means, intent, and opportunity. The 4th is a phrase or a term called preclusion. And what that means is you did everything in your power to get out of the situation. You tried to de-escalate. You tried to leave. You were given no choice. Now, the state of Alabama has castle doctrine, pardon me, and they also have stand your ground. You're not required to retreat. But I would want to be able to show a jury of my peers that I did everything possible to get out, just to cover my butt. Okay? All right. So we run over a little. We're getting close to 13 minutes, so we're going to end it here. I appreciate your time. Again, comments, questions, criticisms, witticisms, put them in the comment section. And if I can help you any way, you let me know. As always, I remain your humble and obedient servant, John Officer Brooke. Good night.